Gentlemen, I'm so excited to be here on stage with both of you. Kind of a humbling experience. I hope to be held to the right standards here. Let me start with you, Rich. 30 years as the CEO of Jefferies, you have grown your operation to become on the top 5 in equities, in M&A, and ECM. You have 6,500 employees. Are you aware of that, Rich? 6,500.
And every day, someone might be doing something we have to watch, okay? So that's a lot of people to pay attention to.
Yeah, and that would be 44 offices in 23 countries. And you have been to Israel as well. We will take on the Israeli angle in a few minutes, but just as a very general perspective, we are at the end of 2024, if I'm not wrong, at Jefferies. This is already the end, right? This month of your fiscal year. A general perspective, Rich, if you could take 2 minutes to summarize 2024 and give us an outlook of Jefferies as to how do you look into 2025?
Okay, thank you. First, thank you for having me here, and I love doing this with my good friend Dan. We go way back together. I just wanted to say for a second, I just came from my apartment, which is about 10 blocks from here. I was working on an M&A transaction, multi-billion-dollar transaction. I looked at the clock. I had to sprint over here. I got over here, sitting next to my friend Dan, and I see the presentation about what Yaron did with, and it gives you a perspective of what's really important in life and what is so special about Israel, what's so special about the people in this room and the families who are going to go on. And it's just, I know I speak for Dan too, it's just an honor to be here. And it's more important than how the capital market's going to be in 2024 or 25. And I'll be brief on the outlook. My outlook for the capital markets is not dissimilar to my outlook on Israel. I'm very optimistic. I think there's a lot of things that could go right in 2025. I think interest rates have plateaued. I think you're going to see capital formation occur more dramatically, particularly with a decrease in regulatory headwinds. I think you see liquidity around the globe. I think that there is consolidation. There's fresh capital in private equity. There is the IPO window is going to open. The leveraged finance market is working well. Companies want to be active. CEO confidence is pretty high. Consumer is okay. There are clearly things that are out there that could be disadvantages, but I feel like our company has made a lot of investment over the course of the last couple of years when things were tough, and I'm optimistic that it's going to pay out on a global basis.
Wow. Starting the year on an optimistic note, Daniel Loeb, founder and CEO of Third Point. You founded what, like 30 years ago?
Almost.
Almost 30 years ago. You still look young. Okay. And you run today, as at least it's written out there, about $4 billion in assets and investments. When you run transactions, you sit across the table from Rich. You are the investor. You need your investments to appreciate over time. If you have to define what would be your strategy into 2025, looking backwards on how 2024 worked for you, what is the outlook at Third Point?
I'd be happy to do that, but before I do that, I just some of last week's Torah came to mind, thinking about you. And there's a line in the Parsha that says, I don't know, I can't say it in Hebrew, but it says, Abraham is the father of Isaac. And then it goes on to say repetitively, Isaac is the son of Abraham. And there's a lot of talk in the about what this means, but I think it definitely applies to you. I think what it means is we start out being the son of someone, and if we're lucky, we become known as the father of someone. And I think you will, for all your own accomplishments, always be known as well, to be proud to be the father of Yaron for all he accomplished.
Thank you. I actually changed my or updated my my short bio on all my social networks. I start with father of Yaron and then everything else. So, by the way, a note to the audience: they could both come across as very good Israeli politicians. You ask them something and they answer whatever they have on their mind. So, Your outlook for 2025.
Okay, and then the last thing I want to say, it's not just those children that I see up there. I also see their children, their grandchildren, and your own and you, the values that you imbued them to go in and do that will be remembered for generations. So, yeah, I'm with Rich. I mean, I read something on Twitter. There was a Reformed, of course, rabbi who said that he feels disappointment and anxiety and fear about the election. I feel completely the opposite. I'm excited, I'm optimistic, and I'm very constructive, both for the U.S. economy, but also for the geopolitical situation in the Middle East broadly, the relationship between Israel and its partners and fellow Gulf, the other countries that surround it. And I just think it's going to be a very good time, and I think that will, you saw what happened with the Abraham Accords. I expect more of that. In the U.S., I anticipate, that, let's talk about the different scenarios that some people fear, tariffs, inflation, rebooting of interest rates, a weakening economy, very high deficits. I don't see that scenario. I think Trump will be somewhat constrained. You always have to remember that the art of the deal is to ask for a lot and settle for something in the middle or closer to what is reasonable. And that there's a lot of bluster and positioning going on. And I think what is happening both geopolitically and economically is very positive. I can't say enough. Richie can understand this even better. By the way, we worked together. Richie was my boss in the early 1990s, and
He did a little bit better.
we've both done fine. But a lot of what I did, I poached from Richie's playbook and just monetized it in a different way. Instead of 6,500 people, I've got about 80. So that's a better start, just right there. But this isn't like you can see people's hair on fire and their heads exploding. The threat that Trump and his advisors present to the deep state and to this bureaucracy and the overregulation that Rich feels probably 100 times worse than I do, but even we do. But we see it as investors all across the economy. So I think this debottlenecking and liberation of companies to be able to act on economic incentives and do the right thing in a more sustainable economic way is very positive. It's good for markets. It's not going to affect everything equally, but it's a very exciting time to be an investor.
Thank you. So you're both ending this year with a note of optimism, which is important for all of us. Next October also notes the notion of optimism. So Dan, I prepared my homework and looked at your website. You run across various strategies when you do investments, all kind of financial structures and all kind of even opportunistic approaches towards this. What's important for you in Israeli-related or Israeli deals? You're involved also in looking at the Israeli market. Mind you, there are about 50% of the people here Israeli or Israeli-related connected entrepreneurs. What's important for you in the Israeli market?
I mean, we didn't get involved in the Israel market because we wanted to invest in Israel. We invested in Israel because we were interested in cybersecurity. And the first investment we made was in a gentleman named Tomer Weingarten who ran SentinelOne. And that kind of opened the doors for a bunch of other investments that we made around digital transformation and high technology, cybersecurity, software, artificial intelligence. And there's just not a better, it's a unique setup just because of the interplay between education, the education that young people get within the military elite units, even the combat units, and a culture of, I think what someone was saying when you were trying to fix the audio-visual equipment, a culture of being able to fix and solve anything. I mean, people will be studying and looking at this pager thing for hundreds of years in terms of military strategy. The setup.
This is when we broke things. We didn't fix them. We broke them for others, but okay, go ahead.
But anyway, no, but I mean, it's that mentality And the combination of technology, innovation, ingenuity, grit, it's a fantastic market for venture capital investing. We have 2 people on the ground there. They're supported by more people and more capital outside. So we're just very excited to be part of that. And just lastly, I said last time I was there, and it hasn't changed, if Israel were a stock, I would buy it, and I would say the same today. And even more so now with the Trump administration, I think a lot of the short-term impediments are going to be resolved, and you're going to see a lot of prosperity going forward.
Just to reiterate what Dan said, because I heard this also in Israel, if Israel were a stock, he would buy into that stock, right?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So just quickly, what's an ideal deal for you in Israel? What are you looking for? Series B, Series A, $20 million, $3 million, what stage of company?
I mean, in the U.S., we tend to be more Series B. In the U.S., we want to see, in Israel, we want to see, a product market fit. In most cases, some revenues. It could be as little as $1 million in revenues. We want to see something. We haven't invested yet in a complete startup that's just in the developmental stage, but we'll stay on top, we'll stay close to a company until it gets to that point.
Thank you. So, Rich, you sit across the table from, probably everybody who is an investor in the tech market. Could you give us a general look as to what investors are perceiving of Israel these days? What is important for investors? What would be useful for the entrepreneurs here who run their companies to know?
Sure. As most of you know, we host a very important for Jefferies tech trek each year, where we bring global investors to commit capital to the local Israeli market. And just like what Dan said, they're not doing that to do good by Israel or to be philanthropic in a way. They're doing that because they think that's where the opportunity is to make money. And that's what the opportunity is, to help build great companies. And this last tech trek that we were going to have in September, all of our clients were coming. They all wanted to be there. It was only the airlines that basically prevented that from happening. And I wound up going with a team from Jefferies. And the thing I saw on the ground, and Dan's a value investor, and he likes to buy things when they're cheap. The Israeli market, and based upon what the potential is, and I agree even today, is incredibly cheap because it goes down to the character and the spirit and the entrepreneurialism and the passion of the people who are running these companies. And I was in meetings with CEOs of the startups as well as more robust companies, and they're talking about how their people were at night in helicopter missions, and in the morning they were at the morning call. And I'm looking around at my wonderful firm Jefferies, and people are coming in late and they're relaxed and they don't have a care in the world. And the people within Israel believe that they are doing something that's bigger than themselves, bigger than their companies. It's about their country. It's about each other. And that's the secret sauce that any investor would be eager to figure out a way to partner with. And it's, I did notice a couple of, I was there, I think, 3 times in the last 12 months. The first time I was there, I was there right before the vote, when the country was having a civil war, it felt like. And then all of a sudden October 7th happened, and then I went back in the fall. And you could see the exhaustion of people. You could see the pain in people, and you could see the progression. But you can also see that no one is giving up. There's not one person that's giving up. And when you're, I know Dan very well. He knows me very well. We've been through the storms together, okay? Financial storms, challenges, whatever can go wrong does go wrong. And that's the only time you really see character, okay? That's the only time you really see people of substance and people where you want to invest. And as painful as this is, and you never want anyone to go through something like this, this will be a moment that you'll all look back on with national pride. And I love the fact that all these companies are coming out of it. When I was young, it was trees for Israel. Now it's companies for Israel. That's pretty remarkable. That's what investors want.
Thank you, Rich. I just want to note that on October 7th, you announced that Jefferies would donate 100% of your trading revenue in equities and fixed income to humanitarian causes in Israel, and you raised $14 million for that cause. They deserve a round of applause for it. But still, I want to insist on this. Isn't this the time where you tell investors, wait another year before you invest in an Israeli company? Is that happening at all?
Dan knows this well. By the time you wait for the all clear sign, the opportunity is gone. It happens all the time. And it's the hardest thing to do. I've now been at our company for 35 years. There's one simple rule. Try not to do anything stupid or arrogant during the good times, which is harder than you think, so you can take advantage of opportunity in the challenging times. If the good times you get arrogant, the bad times you get frozen. If you could fight those two emotions, okay, you can create long-term value. And that's what savvy investors do.
So invest in Israel now, is it the right bottom line for this conference as well, right? You can invest in Israel, this is the case.
I mean, I don't even think it's that risky. The companies that we're investing in have the intellectual capital and headquarters, and sometimes legal, sometimes not headquarters there. They have distributed operations around the globe. If necessary, they can move people around. We had one company that had their engineering team split between Kyiv and Tel Aviv. And they had to figure it out, and they did. They moved people around. So I think people overestimate what that risk is.
And I think it's easy for you and all of you in the audience to think that's what the world is thinking about. It's not what the world's thinking about. The world's trying to think about where are there smart entrepreneurs, where are there smart companies. Yes, this is a geopolitical nightmare for everyone who's living through it. But people look at the intermediate and long term, and if you look around the world, there's a lot of challenges everywhere. Nothing necessarily, I'm not trying to compare it to what you're going through, but you can be too close to the situation. We had hundreds and hundreds of investors who were dying to come in October, and we've done, Nadi, how many deals have we done so far this year with investors? 13 deals with super sophisticated, really smart people buying assets and partnerships with people in Israel. So when you're on your side, you can think, oh my gosh, no one cares about us. On our side, it's like, this is an amazing opportunity, and smart people are doing their work.
Thank you for this. I must have a quick comment here. You have an unfair advantage in Israel. You have this outstanding natural leader called Nati Ginor. Those of you in the audience, entrepreneurs who do not know of Nati, please come to shake his hand. Nati, can you stand up, please, so that they can recognize? All right, he's kind of shy. But please look for Nati Ginor. He's an outstanding leader and an excellent professional.
I will just say one thing about Nati. And by the way, no one has more fights with Nati than me. Trust me, okay? I actually win more than most people do with him, but I don't win that many of them. He is a force of nature in terms of his love of his family, his love of Israel, his love of Jefferies, and the quality of the human being. And there isn't a person I have met in my travels anywhere who has one bad thing to say about that guy. And he is, the best of our firm. So, Nati, thank you.
So we have about 1 minute. I want to take this to the real personal level. Hanukkah is approaching, which is, by the Jewish tradition, the holiday where we celebrate miracles. If you had to wish for one miracle, personal miracle, however miracle you want to define it, what would that miracle be for you as we look at the end of 2024 and the start of 2025?
This isn't an original one. I'm sure it's the same for Rich. I'll steal the thunder. But
I will defer to him because he has mine.
We want the hostages home now.
Thank you. And if I could add a comment, which is not a political comment, this is not only about miracles. We can do stuff to make this happen, but I join your prayer for that miracle to take place as soon as possible. Rich, you have the closing statement and the miracle.
I think I'll just speak for Dan and myself. It is an honor for us to be here. I mean, it is truly. You think you're listening to two people, and you're the beneficiaries. For us to see this room full of people who care as much as all you do and are so, your hearts are all in the right spot. It's just, for both of us, thank you for having us. It's just a pleasure to be here.
It is a humbling experience to be here with you on stage, Rich Handler, CEO of Jefferies, Dan Loeb, founder and CEO of Third Point. Thank you very much for your support of Israel, and let's do business together. Thank you very much.